All right, let's jump right into this explainer and build a rock-solid battle plan for conquering the notoriously tricky Microsoft PL300 certification exam. Whether you're aiming for your first data certification or you're upgrading your skills, this exam tests way more than just your ability to drag and drop a few charts. It really tests your ability to think like an enterprise-level architect. But before we even map out our study guide, take a look at this classic PL300 trap question. If you don't instantly know the answer, hey, don't sweat it. You are exactly where you need to be. We're going to break down the exact logic behind questions just like this one, so you won't even hesitate on test day. Because here's the thing. As this quote brilliantly illustrates, passing isn't just about memorizing DAX formulas or clicking through menus. It's really about understanding Microsoft's underlying logic, and more importantly, dodging their carefully laid traps. They want to know you can choose the most scalable, efficient, and user-friendly solution out of 4 seemingly correct options. Okay, so we've distilled a massive study guide down to the absolute highest weight topics. Here is our agenda. 1. Power Query the foundation. 2. Data modeling and context. 3. Demystifying DAX essentials. 4. Visuals and storytelling. And finally, 5. The final exam checklist. Let's get to it. Section 1. Power Query, the foundation. We're starting right at the beginning of the Power BI workflow, because frankly, your data is only as good as your foundation. This is where we shape our data before it ever even hits the model. If there is literally one golden rule you burn into your brain for test day, let it be this. Think Power Query first. Seriously. If you're asked where to transform data, the answer is almost always the Power Query editor, not DAX. Microsoft strongly prefers that you push your data cleanup, formatting, and structural changes as far back in the process as possible. That ensures better performance and way cleaner models. So when the exam asks how to handle multiple files with the same structure being added regularly, like monthly regional sales reports, memorize this exact best practice workflow for the folder connector. You connect to the folder, use the combine and transform feature, and apply your cleaning steps just once. From then on, automatic refreshes pick up any new files without you lifting a finger. Manual imports, they are almost always the wrong answer. Now, what's super interesting about these requirements is the specific order of operations. Notice how you absolutely must clean your text before changing the data type. If an exam scenario tries to trick you into converting a messy, space-filled text string directly into a number, you'll know right away it's a trap. You have to use the trim or clean functions first to remove those hidden characters, and then you can safely apply your data type change. Oh, and be aware of this major exam trap. Anything that breaks query folding. Query folding is a massive performance booster where transformations are pushed back to the source system like a SQL server. But things like custom row-by-row M logic or complex merges, those will break this fold, forcing Power BI's engine to do all the heavy lifting, which really hurts your refresh performance. Section 2, Data Modeling and Context. Moving on from our foundation, let's look at the absolute core of the exam. If you get the model wrong, your DAX will be a complete nightmare. And trust me, the exam knows this. The exam absolutely loves to test your schema knowledge. And as you can see, the star schema is always your best friend, while the snowflake schema, that's a trap you should generally avoid. You want a central fact table holding your numeric transactions, surrounded directly by descriptive dimension tables. The snowflake schema introduces unnecessary extra joins, and that just bogs down performance. Keep it simple, keep it to a star. Now, this comparison right here, it's arguably the most critical mental framework you need to grasp for the entire exam. You have to understand whether your calculation is filtering dynamically on a visual or iterating row by row in the background. Filter context is driven by your report users clicking slicers, interacting with visuals. Row context, on the other hand, is simply Power BI looking at a single row of data at a time, which mostly happens in calculated columns. Section 3, Demystifying DAX Essentials. All right, now we reach the heavy hitter of the PL300, writing DAX. This is exactly where context meets calculation. Remember that opening question? Well, here's your answer. If they ask for dynamic aggregations and low memory, you want a measure, definitely not a calculated column. Measures are calculated at runtime, so they respond instantly to slicers and don't bloat your file size. Calculated columns are processed during the data load and sit statically in memory. So for your KPIs and aggregations, measures are 100% the way to go. The crucial point you need to take away here is that Calculate is the undisputed king of DAX. Why? because it actually modifies the filter context dynamically. It essentially tells Power BI, hey, pause the current filters for a second, apply these specific new filters I'm giving you, and then run my math. And notice how this builds right into an incredibly common exam trap. Filters inside Calculate completely override existing filters on that same column. So for example, if a user clicks a slicer that says red, but your Calculate function explicitly calls for blue, the function wins. It overrides the slicer. The result will firmly remain blue sales, totally ignoring the user's red selection. So what if you're faced with a scenario where you need to multiply quantity by price across every single transaction before you aggregate the total? What do you use? A basic sum function only targets a single column, so it's going to fail completely if you hand it an expression like quantity times price. The answer lies with iterators. DAX functions ending in x, like SUMX, solve that exact problem by iterating row by row to evaluate your custom expression first, and then aggregating the final results. But a quick word of warning, you must remember they are slower and more resource-intensive than basic aggregations, so you should really only use them when absolutely necessary. Section 4, Visuals and Storytelling. Okay, your data is modeled and calculated, so let's shift to how the exam tests your ability to actually display it. Visuals and storytelling are all about choosing clarity over clutter. This right here is a pure keyword association cheat sheet for test A. If you see the words trend or growth over time, immediately look for line chart in the multiple choice options. Need to perform root cause analysis? Look for the decomposition tree. Want to show a part-to-whole relationship but have way too many categories for a pie chart? The tree map is your definitive answer. And when a question asks how to guide users through insights without cluttering the page, you're going to want to pair bookmarks with buttons for the correct answer. Bookmarks save the exact state of a report page, and buttons give users a really clear way to navigate that guided narrative. If you need to jump to a completely different page while passing a specific filter context, like, say, going from a broad sales summary to a specific customer's details, well, that's exactly when you use drill through. Section 5, the final exam checklist. We are in the home stretch, folks, so let's lock in our defense against Microsoft's trickiest questions with a quick final review. I want you to read these exam traps really carefully, especially the myth that the all function removes every single filter on your report page. Actually, scratch that. It doesn't. If the DAX formula says all product, it only removes product filters. The date filters, the region filters, those stay exactly as they are. Also, keep in mind that throwing more visuals onto a page is almost never the solution for an executive dashboard. They want clean, focused KPIs. If you're ever stuck between two seemingly viable answers on the test, just apply this 10-second mental checklist to guide you to the most scalable, enterprise-ready solution. Ask yourself, is it simple? Can it be pushed upstream to Power Query instead of bogging down DAX? Does it scale and refresh automatically? Microsoft will always reward the architecture that requires the least manual intervention down the road. So, are you ready to choose clarity over complexity and conquer the PL300 exam? You now have the ultimate battle plan, mapping out the highest yield concepts, from Power Query transformations all the way to DAX context and visual storytelling. You know the traps, and you understand the enterprise mindset Microsoft demands. So when you look at your next practice question, don't just ask yourself what the right answer is. Ask yourself, how is Microsoft trying to trick me? Go out there, trust your foundation, and conquer that certification.